all, and welcome in here to round 2 of May Mystery Month. We're here for the second round of the chaos that will ensue. Currently, we're going to probably spin the wheel again for our second track, but I'm going to change it this time. And for those of you in the chat, you can help me come up with the tracks. So no, just spam the spam what track you would like to see, and I'm gonna enter them in the order that they're entered it in.
Hello there.
Oh, that's not how you spell Baku. So many Monacos. Oh no. Thank you for the follow, Neil. Welcome into the stream. There's so many Monacos, oh my lord. I wonder, should I throw some more Monacos in this wheel? Crosscrew says 100% Monaco full wet. Scones does point out Neil is 4th in the world at Monaco time trial. So, dear God, if you want to win this race, don't make it Monaco, because Neil will win by a landslide. I would have to probably say to Neil, you have to do start from the back to try and win. Yeah, Star. Oh, actually, I don't know why the wheel is not there. Where is the wheel? Here we are. Here we are. How do I... maybe if I move it down. Here we are. But here's the wheel. Let me move it a little bit so everyone can see.
Hello there.
Why does it look like that? I don't know. Let me move it a little bit so everyone can see the whole wheel. Anyway, anyone else need an invite to the lobby before we fully spin the wheel here? Anyone else? And also, do we have any more options? Someone said Mexico, Monza is another one. Melbourne, let's just say Australia, which I also struggle to spell. I think that's all of our tracks decided. So we're gonna spin the wheel. We're gonna spin the wheel to find out which track we're going to. Let's see who's gonna win. Which track's gonna be, lads? Which track is gonna be? Unfortunately, Scones were too late. It was not. Oh my lord, it's Miami. It's Miami. We're going to Miami, lads. We're going to Miami. Brilliant. Akko says W. As we're now going to switch over to Miami. Well, I need to double check the settings as well. That's what I need to do before we load in, to make sure everything's correct and to give everyone the least amount of headache possible. Scone says I don't have a setup. Well, that's the thing in May Mystery Month. You kind of need to get setups, otherwise you may be slightly cooked. Anyway, let's go, lads. We're all ready to go. Qualifying, here we go. Short quali. How do I make... My camera just needs to be further down. Let me adjust. Here we are. That's a bit better there. So my face is a bit more centralized, and then how much for reroll? Every reroll is 2 gifted subs. So if there's no gifted subs by the time we everyone ready's up, then Neil, it depends on what the scenario is. Some scenarios there may not be a restart, some there may be. Scones, you may run out of time for this because there's 22 seconds before we load into the lobby. So I don't want you wasting your money if someone in the TikTok chat just says Lewis Capaldi, this you? Do I look like Lewis Capaldi? Oh, Scones gifted 1 sub to Ricardo, but... Oh wait, the countdown stopped? I wonder, can I stop the countdown entirely? I don't know how to stop it entirely. Does anyone know how to stop it entirely? Oh my god, Scones gifted 1 to Ultra. Alright. Stop the count, please. Please, everyone unready. We're gonna have to spin the wheel again. What's it gonna be now? Oh, it's gonna be Baku! It's gonna be Baku! It's Baku, lads! It is gonna be Baku. Hilarious. That is Scone's literal favourite track. Literally Scone's favourite track. It's gonna be Baku, lads. Hilarious. Hilarious. So hilarious. Well, looks like we're gonna be racing in Baku, lads. We're gonna be racing in Baku. Let's go, lads. Unless someone else wants another reroll, you know, but... Ollie Bean says, back to Miami. Still got ads. Well, welcome into the stream, or hope you're doing well. Sean O'Keefe says this place is more corrupt than the FAA. Here, I'm like obvious. Like I says, if you want to reroll, it's 2 gifted subs, and we got 2 gifted subs. That's just simply how it works. Money's money, says Crosscrew, you know. But did it say Crosscrew gifted out a sub as well? Crosscrew, did you gift a sub? Thank you for the gifted subs, Scones and Crosscrew, if you did. But we're here in Baku for short quali, followed by... Anyway, let me see if I can open up some stuff here while we wait for the drivers to get ready. For Baku. As Ginger, it must be Sean as well. Ginger, aka Sean, not happy with the revote. But anyway, and I gotta love how the sun is just placed so horrifically. But it adds to the drama. It adds to the drama. Anyway, let us swap over to the gameplay. Star on my end, it doesn't even say that there's ads playing, so I'm confused. But anyway, we will have short qualifying followed by... Anyway, as we'll see.
Hello there.
Can anyone put out a lap currently here? I wonder what everyone's doing waiting in the garage so long. Is everyone trying to find their Baku setups? Oh no, we're chock-a-block out of the pit lane now. Scones will be the first to lead us out. As I wonder, will anyone hit the pit wall here in Baku? Scones did it! He did it! Oh, he's been disqualified! I don't believe it! Oh! I do not Adam and Eve it. Oh, scones, man. Oh, I literally says, I wonder is anyone gonna forget to turn out of the pit lane, and Scones was our first victim. Oh my lord. I do not believe it. Scones, I must say, it may have been some of the commentators' curse. I may have predicted your downfall. I may have said that tends to happen in Baku. But Scones, who got the reroll, was also unfortunately first out in qualifying, hitting the wall at Baku immediately. Hello Verstappen in the chat, and hello Squidward saying, or Squidlord saying, hope Ollie Bean wins. But hilariously enough, Scones was the first victim of the walls here in Baku, and he hit the first wall that you can possibly hit. So, heartbreak for Scones. But anyway, what else do we have going on? If anyone who's listening to the stream does want to join in the race, there's still time. There's 5 spots available. All you need to do is join the link in the Discord and ping me, WHF_ARO, and I can get you in the lobby. Although, you probably have needed to added me prior. Anyway, Crosscrete, first out on a lap in the Red Bull. As we were going to do Miami, but then Scones asked for a reroll, and it landed on Australia, which is his favourite track, but then he was the first driver to meet the walls here in Baku. So Scones, unfortunately, even though he has got his favourite track, it did not go the way he intended. As Gabe Brooms is in here, I didn't know Gabe Brooms was even attending. Anyway, Gabe's in here. I wonder, does Gabe even know what's happening? Is Gabe in May Mystery Month? I don't think he is. Well, let me add Gabe to May Mystery Month so that he knows what's going on. Otherwise, he may be quite confused. But anyway, Crosscrete will be the first out there to set a lap time. I'm not even quite sure what everyone's gonna be doing here. Scone says sadly he was turning up his mics and forgot to pit release. But Crosscrete is quickest out there with a 39.4, Star with a 40.6, Cthulhu with a 41, Ginger with a 42, Echo with 43. Kenza Young, one of the next drivers around is D Summers, goes P3. We've got Kenza Young around next. And thank you for the follow in the chat, Squidlord, as Kenza Young goes P2 in the Mercedes, that is. Next round we have Neil, who's going to cross the line and go quickest with a 38.8. Neil straight on the pace here as Ultra Titan should be one of the drivers running next, although we do have Ledgeman starting a lap. We've got Ultra Titan followed by Gabe Brooms, I believe. Ultra Titan up to P6, Gabe Brooms up to P9. Kevin Cal next around in the Alpine. As Scone says he wanted to turn his music up. Well, you've plenty of time to listen to your music now, Scones. Plenty of time. As Kevin Cal goes P4. But who else do we have out there? Ollie Bean on a lap. As Squidlord has redeemed run adverts. Which we can do, I guess. As if you didn't have enough ads, we can run more. Speaking of, let me just double check that the sound alerts are working. Yes, they are indeed working. As Ollie Bean goes P10. Ledgeman, one of the next drivers to be around. Although I wonder, is anyone else going again? Maybe Star, maybe Kenzie Young. Oh, Kenzie Young coming in. Maybe Neil going again. No, it seems like he's on an in lap as well. Lanky One starting a lap. I think it will be LTJ Ellis is the next driver around. And we'll see what Ellis can do in the Haas. Let's keep resetting, I don't know. And as LTJ Ellis comes up to the line, where can he go in the Haas? Although, looks like he's on in-lap. The lanky one out there on a lap. I don't even know if people are hearing this. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, the lanky one is next round. And we've still 10 minutes left of the session to find out who will be on pole here in Baku. Neil has put a very good lap time of a 38.8, which shall be difficult to beat for the... difficult to beat for everyone else in the field there, as Crossgree, the next quickest driver there, 6/10 back at this stage. Meanwhile, the lanky one in the Cyber will be around next. Where can he go? But after the lanky one crosses the line, I wonder, is Crossgrey out on a lap? Bean, Ollie Bean in the chat says he predicts Sledgeman to spin, as Crossgrey seems to be on just an extra outlap because he does have some traffic here. Meanwhile, we've got a Ferrari around, or there's a yellow flag. Ferrari seems to be alright. With Kenzie Young. Was he around? Doesn't seem either driver has damage there, so unsure. Meanwhile, Ledgeman went deep at turn 2 and is spinning back onto the track. Anywho, as Ollie Bean would say, I predict these things. But the lanky one on an in lap. D Summers, I think, is on an in or a cool down lap. But I think Gabe Brooms out on the mediums, strangely enough, will be the next driver around to start a lap. But where can Gabe go in the Mercedes? Gabe definitely one of the quicker drivers in Tier 1 last season. But here in Mere Mystery Month, he's out there on the mediums and he's chucking it round. Where can Gabe go on these mediums? He seems to have a lot of pace left in hand here in the McLaren. And intriguing to see what he will do whenever he's on the softs. But it already looks like he may have one of the challenging lap times on the medium tyres. And that is P2 on the mediums. My lord, Gabe Brooms. What a lap time there that is. If you have a quick look at the best. And that's his 4th lap on the mediums. Dear lord. Gabe, what steroids are you on? Let us know. Let us know. That is ridiculous. Meanwhile, we do have Neil, who's 6/10 to the good already. Is 4/10 ahead of Gabe. He'll have a bit of a tow here from, I believe, Crossgrey. Although Crossgrey's down on his delta. Neil is up on his. And Neil crosses the line. It'll be a 38.1 7/10 improvement, and he's already over a second in the lead here. Meanwhile, Kenzie Young out there 4/10 to the good, but needs even more time in this lap to get anywhere near Neil, who has a strong... D Summers in the chat says Kenzie disconnected on your end, big red cross by his name. Well, Kenzie Young's improved and went to a 39.1, so D Summers, are you still in the lobby? Let me double check. D Summers doesn't need an invite. Is everyone red X for you, D Summers? Because there's potential you could have desynced from everyone. I didn't see that you lagged out or anything, but that potentially could have happened. You're still in D Summers? Yeah, okay. That's okay. Meanwhile, Star gonna have a monster tow here in the Mercedes off the Haas and goes quickest with a 37.9. Oh my lord. Star and Neil are on a different planet today. Star with a 37.9. Over a 10th quicker than Neil, who is 1 second quicker than Echo. Star and Neil on a different stratosphere here in Baku. Meanwhile, LTJ Ellis does get a lap time on the board, but is 2 seconds off his teammate in the Haas. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell around on a lap here as well, although he does have damage on that Alpine, so may have clipped one of the walls on his run around. As Kenzie Young's left the lobby, so I'm guessing it is Kenzie Young that has been lagging, according to D Summers. The issue with Kenzie Young is he had a very weird long EA name, and I'm trying to remember what it was. Because he's not appearing online for me, so it'll have to be one of the very long EA names. But I'm sure I should be able to spot it. We'll eventually get there. But for those of you who always ask me for an invite, this is what I have to do every single time I'm sending invites. I have to scroll through pages and pages of people to try and find one person. And I cannot find Kenzie to save my life. I do not know. No idea. Anyway, who else is out on a lap? I wonder is Echo on a lap here? Let's have a quick wee look. I think he is on a lap. As Crosscrete also on a lap here, although being blocked by the Haas, who may also be on a lap. So Crosscrete just going to back out of his lap. Unhappy with that. Scones says you invited Kenzie. Okay, good, Scones. As Scones probably has Kenzie on Xbox, which makes things a bit easier. Squidlord says let's go Ledgeman, and he says damn it, he's in last. Unfortunately, Ledgeman P14 as it stands. But who else is actually out on the lap there? I think Echo is on one. 3/10 to the good out of the middle sector is Echo now. Okay, Scones says you don't have him on Xbox, you have him on PC. Well, if you can invite him regardless, Scones, that's a help. I couldn't even find him on PC. I wonder if Steam it's easier to add people, because on EA it seems very difficult, but almost half a second improvement there from Echo. He does a 30.5, a lot closer to the leaders than he once was. Meanwhile, Crossgree's going to get a toe here from Neil on his lap, I believe. Yeah, Neil, the only Aston out there. So Crossgree going to get a toe from Neil. As Kenzie Young back in the lobby, that's great to see. Although Kenzie Young will not improve here. Doesn't have enough time to set a lap. As Neil around... Is Neil trying to disqualify himself? I don't think so. But Neil will not be improving here, and P2 will be the best for Neil in this session. So Star pretty much has pole. Crossgree not improving. Does he have enough time to get another lap time in? I don't know. I don't think Crossgree has enough time to get around again. So surprising there. But Neil with damage, unlikely to improve on his lap. Echo invalid. Gabe invalid, but Gabe may have enough in the tank to go for another lap. Crossgree needs to get around in time. Who else do we have actually out there that's close to finishing a lap? We've got Ginger out there close to finishing a lap, although Gabe just started one. Echo invalid. We've got the Haas of Ollie Bean. Don't really know if he improved or not there. Ginger following LTG Ellis. Ellis is 2 seconds to good. Can Ellis beat Ollie Bean here in qualifying? This is for all the marbles. This is for pride here. Can Ellis... Oh, he's run out of fuel. Has he run out of fuel? Oh, I think he has. Oh, heartbreak. As Ginger crosses the line. I don't know if he improved or not, but he'll have to go again if not, as the lanky one invalid. Meanwhile, Crossgree doesn't have time to improve here. Crossgree takes the checkered flag, and no improvement there for Crossgree. Neil also no improvement for him. Who else do we have out there on our runaround? Ultra invalid D Sommers now. In P11, can D Sommers improve? Here in the Ferrari as he comes up to the line. D Sommers jumps to P9. Good improvement there as Kevin Kell next round. Can Kevin Kell improve in the Alpine? Scones, if you're listening, can you invite Kenzie Young back again? He lagged out again. We need him in here immediately. Crossgree says Neil hit the wall on the exit of turn 1. Had to take avoiding action, so that cost him his lap. Meanwhile, Gabe not improving on his lap, so it will be only Ollie Bean and Ginger to complete a lap now. Star says he crashed at Castle, a 10th up. Neil in the chat says Baku is genuinely the second worst track after China, which I find harder to believe because he's sitting P2. Hello, R's mum. As Ginger does improve, but not by position. But there you have your qualifying order. Star on pole with a 27.9. And Neil in P2 with a 20 or a 30. A 37.9 Star has. Meanwhile, Neil has a 38.1. And Echo with a 38.5. But major gaps here in qualifying. And I'm about to announce what the stipulation will be, lads, if you are all listening. Is everyone listening? Is everyone standing to attention? Gabe got P5 on the mediums. That's very impressive. Ledgeman says, if I gift a sub, can you put me on pole? I'm pretty sure that's not how it works, unfortunately. But the stipulation for the race today is that you have to use every single tire compound. Kenzie Young in the chat guessed this. Kenzie Young guessed that it was going to be this. And that is what it is. I'm going to ping everyone to let them know. Kenzie Young in the chat says, I knew it. Yes, Neil, every single tire compound has to be used. You'll be disqualified if you do not use every single tire compound. Alright, we're gonna hopefully give Kenzie enough time to get in to grab his car. No, Neil, no specific stint length. You could literally do the first 5 laps, get all your pit stops out of the way, or leave them to the end, leave them till safety cars. Yes, star every single tyre compound. As Kenzie in the chat predicted, he said whenever he just genuinely guessed, are we going to be doing the rainbow compounds? And I literally let out a maniacal giggle because I was like, of course, that is exactly what we're doing tonight. So everyone has to use every single tyre compound in this race. And hopefully Kenzie Young can get back in before we ready up. But I'm intrigued to see what strategies everyone picks here. But a reminder, if you do not use every single tyre compound, you'll be just disqualified from the race. That's all comes down to. If everyone doesn't use every compound, then they're all disqualified. And this round's basically null and void. So, just make sure, everyone, to do every tyre compound. Now, you can play it smart and do it under the safety car. You really can. If there's a safety car, you can serve. You could probably do all your tyres under the safety car, which would be funny to see, but you're allowed to. But I'm guessing, basically, once there's the first safety car, everyone's just gonna box like 4 times, and the race is gonna be that's gonna be all the fun over. But hopefully Kenzie can get back in. Kenzie, are you back in? Are you back in yet? Let us know. We missed you, Kens. But if anyone's out there with like a 30-second or a minute lead that isn't named Star or Neil, they clearly have not been listening to the stream or even the Discord chat, which I preface beforehand that you must do, as someone's readied up early. Anyway, someone has readied up early, but we will head now, unless Ultra readied and Kenzie was in, because that's all we were waiting for, but we will have the 5 red lights on here in May Mystery Month, round 2, as Star will lead the field away with Neil Gio on the inside of Star. Can Star keep the lead into turn 1? He does just that. Brilliant start there for the Mercedes, but it goes wide, opens the door to Neil Gio, and Neil straight through into P1, and Star goes wide as we head through turn 2, and someone sent it very deep. It was LTJ Ellis. Sent it very deep into turn 2 and caused major contact with some of the drivers, as there's damage for D. Somers already here on lap 1, as D. Somers now around the outside of Ginger, and into the rear goes Ellis of D. Somers, and damage for several of the drivers as Ellis into the wall and leaves himself vulnerable. But not the best of starts there for Ellis, as Gabe Brooms now on the inside of Kenzie Young. Dives it through. As Kenzie Young starting on the hard tyres, we'll keep the tyre graphic up because this is what we want to see. As Gabe Brooms already lost a second to Echo and Star. And some people may want to pit lap 1 to get their tyre strategy out of the way. Or some people may wait for safety cars, which may be the better strategy, because you can probably get all your pit stops done under the safety car as Ginger on the inside of Cthulhu trying to find a way through, as Ginger seems to be lagging a bit, as he's very desynced as we're on board with the Williams here. But already on lap 2, Star losing time to Neil, but the DRS will be enabled and Star should have enough time, as Star already coming in here on lap 1 to get off the softs. Interesting strategy. Very interesting strategy. He wants to get his pit stops out of the way. And Neil leads here on lap 1 ahead of Akko. Akko will still have DRS now. But Star immediately onto the wet tyres. Here in lap 1, Cthulhu onto the wet tyres as well. D. Sommers fixing his front wing and onto the wet tyres as well. Gabe Brooms now onto the hards. LTG Ellis onto the hards. Oh, well, he's actually not boxed yet, so what tyres is he going to pick? He's going to pick the mediums as D. Sommers, as well as fixing his front wing. As Cthulhu going to exit the box. Has everyone prep their brakes well enough? We'll have to see here. Does everyone know to brake enough in these dry conditions? Kenzie Young out there in P3 with Crosscree in behind on the mediums. As Gabriel's going to get straight ahead of Star on the wet tyres. Star trying to get every advantage you can out of that. But here's the thing, if Star gets all of his pit stops out of the way immediately, then if there is a safety car on like lap 7 onwards, it could probably go hards to the end pretty comfortably. Meanwhile, Ginger loses out to Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean getting ahead of Ginger. Did Ginger have damage though? All in the Williams. Yeah, front wing entirely off that Williams. Scones is going to play this careful. Hopefully he realises the Williams ahead has absolutely no front wing. And will have lost a lot of downforce here. Scones going to go on the inside of the Williams now. And Kevin Cal also looking to get past the Williams, as the Williams probably going to come in now for a new front wing. And I wonder what tyres will Ginger go on to. A Star probably going to come in for inters along with Cthulhu and D. Sommers, I would assume. As Ginger onto the wets with a new front wing. Star in immediately. In for inters, I assume. So, Star has already gotten his wet tyre strategies out of the way. Very smart from Star. But what impact will this play if there is a safety car? Meanwhile, Neil dropping Akko. Akko now out of DRS range here in the McLaren. The thing is, if Neil does box under the safety car, he may have to cycle through his tyres. And a reminder, Star still has 2 more mandatory pit stops left. He's got to go mediums and hards. So it may be a medium hard from here now from Star, or it may be a hard medium from here. Meanwhile, there's not been a whole lot of overtakes in this chaotic race so far. Kenzie Young on the inside of Crossgraves. Akko pulls the undercut and nail as Kenzie Young going to get ahead. Meanwhile, the lanky one may lose out to Ultra Titan. Akko in, Ollie Bean in for a pit stop now. Scones in as well. He's probably going to fix his front wing as well. Gabe staying out. Ginger losing out to Ellis. Ellis gets through into P11. Meanwhile, Star. Can he get an overtake now? On Ginger. A Star weaving for whatever reason. Maybe he knows he's on the stream. As he's going to come into the pit lane behind the Williams. And Star now in for dry tyres. Star will be dry tyres to the end. Meanwhile, Kenzie Young all over the rear of Crossgrave. Yellow flag. Who's that? It's Scones. Scones has gone deep into turn 2. Oh, and he's breaking his front wing potentially on the wall there as he's trying to rejoin. I wonder does he have any damage on that Ferrari. Does Scones? No, his front wing is still intact. But that would have lost him a lot of time going deep now. But meanwhile, Star out on the hard tyres. Already here in lap 4, Star is on dry tyres until the end. Neil, and realistically, your top 6 still need to do. Oh wow, Ginger just lagged behind Star there. That was weird. as Gabe Rims gets ahead of Akko, but everyone still has to do their dry tire strategy. As Neil now in for his first stop, as Kenzie Young now will take the lead of the race as Crossgreen along with the lanky one, along with Ultra Titan. And it's so hilarious to see what strategies everyone's going for. Neil now out on the wets. And I never thought strategy would be so fun until this race. Strategy is fun again, lads. Akko back in off the wet tyres. The lanky one onto the inters. Meanwhile, where's Star? Star can see Scones. Squidlord says, hopefully Ollie can get a P6. As Akko back into the pit lane, I think Akko is now on his strategy. Meanwhile, a yellow flag out, Cthulhu retired, and that's a safety car. That is a safety car. Where's Cthulhu? Cthulhu out at turn 11. And the safety car is out now. And that will benefit some people. It will definitely benefit Neil, who can go straight onto his inters and then onto his dries. How much time has Star lost from boxing early? We will see. But Kenzie Young and Kevin Kell, neither driver boxed, and will surely gain loads of time under this safety car. Kenzie Young will have a free pit stop to get onto the wets, another free stop to get onto the inters, and then potentially another free pit stop to get back onto the dries. However, with all of those pit stops that the drivers may try and do under this safety car, Star has already gotten his wet stops through. But the issue is, Star really can't do mediums to the end now. He probably should have went mediums, and then now if he pit, he could then do hards. But Kenzie Young now onto the wets. Neil in for the inters. Kevin in for inters. It's surprising. I would have expected him to do wets maybe. As into the pit lane comes Crossgrey and the lanky one. Ultra now in next. Followed by Gabe, followed by Akko. Ellis, we'll see what he does. Does he come in, or does he try and make his medium stint last? We will see. Star out on the hard tyres. And I think he has to stay out under the safety car, to be honest with you. I think he has to stay out and try and gain track position back. That's realistically all he can do. Meanwhile, LTJ Ellis now into the box. Neil out on the inters, Kenzie out in the wets. And if everyone in the chat is smart here, or everyone in the race is smart here, they'll get all their wet stops out of the way now. But Star does gain some positions, and I think Star may gain even more positions on his next lap around, as we'll see everyone inside the top 7 into the pit lane. But can Star gain on the leaders of Neil, Kevin, and Kenzie is the question. If we have a look at the race director now and we have a look at the tyre strategies, Neil has already done 2 stops. Meanwhile, Kenzie and Kevin have only done 1. So that may play a factor here as well. Scones out under the softs. But if we have a look now, Star only has 1 pit stop remaining. Ginger and D. Summers. Oh, it's Gabe Brims is retired. Gabe Brims is retired. What has happened with Gabe? Gabe has bended into the castle. I don't believe it. Gabe out on the inters has bended into the I am stupid corner under the safety car. Gabe out in the McLaren under the safety car. That is precisely what you did not want to be doing. Precisely. Exactly what you did not want to be doing. Kenzie Young is also going to make sure he does not overtake the safety car here, which he made sure he didn't. Meanwhile, everyone inside that top 7 into the pit lane as Ultra Titan gives himself a 5-second time penalty. And Akko What is he going to do? Is he going to come in for hards? Echo could be in a good place, but where does Star emerge after the pit stops is key, because Star only has one pit stop remaining and Star going to exit now. Where is he going to exit though? Where's Kenzie Young? As they're side by side eggs in the box, Kenzie Young exits one position ahead of Star, but Kenzie Young out in the softs. Let's have a look now. Kenzie Young has to do 2 more pit stops. He's going to go enter. I don't know if that was the right strategy. He's going to do inter and medium. Meanwhile, Star only has to do mediums now. Kevin Kell has to do soft, hard. And Neil Gio just has to do mediums. Ultra Titan just has to do mediums. Crossgrey has to do hard. So, Crossgrey, if you're listening, box for hards right now. Oh, what have I pressed? That's my face again. Wrong button. Crossgrey, pit for hards right now. Same with the lanky one. Same with Ollie Bean. Ollie Bean did 2 wets. What is he doing? Ginger and D. Summers have already gotten all their pit stops out of the way so they can go to the end. Gabe Brooms and Cthulhu are out. Scones go to the hards. And anyone that is doing hards to the end from now can comfortably make it to the end. I'm letting you know right now. So Ginger and D. Summers really have got to watch out for them, because they can go to the end. Who else can go to the end here? Ollie Bean probably could have been one of the drivers who could go to the end, but he made a mistake going on the wets twice. Anyone else got all their stops out of the way? No, it's just those 2. Just Ginger and D. Summers have got all of their pit stops out of the way already. Akko as well. Akko, I would say, Akko is the favourite now for the win here, in my opinion. Akko can do comfortably hard to the end now. So the McLaren is probably your favourite for the win. And hilariously, he's down in P8. But that's how OP it is. Getting your pit stops out of the way early. And Akko can go hard to the end now. And Akko is realistically driving as everyone else is. Meanwhile, Kevin Cal going to come in off the wets. As Crossgrey and the lanky one going to come in as well. But the Kenzie Young still has another stop to do. And so does Star. I believe Neil and Ultra also do as well. I'm surprised to not see them in. The lanky one's got his mandatory pit stop out of the way. Crossgrey has got his mandatory pit stops out of the way. Ollie Bean still needs to come in for hards. LTJ Ellis has not used the sauce, but he's back on the hards. Dear Lord, some of the brain cells in this lobby are confusing. Anywho, everyone back on the dry tires. Has everyone at least got their wet compounds out of the way? Kenzie Young's not touched the wet compounds yet. That is a mistake. Meanwhile, everyone else has got their wet compounds out of the way. Kenzie Young is the only driver to not do the wets yet. Let me make sure that Kenzie knows what he's doing in the chat. Just in case Kenzie does not know, you have to use the inters and wets as well. Everyone now onto the hards, realistically. But some drivers are going to need to box again, including Neil, Ultra Star, Kevin and Scones, I think. Crossgrey will be going to the end, along with the lanky one, Ginger, D. Summers, and Ollie Bean. Meanwhile, LTJ Ellis is going to need to box again, because he did not use the soft tyres. But everyone, there's a good couple drivers there on the hards at the end. Akko, Crossgrey, the lanky one, Ginger, D. Summers, and Ollie Bean. But intriguing. In the chat, Gabe Brim says, I am stupid, in the TikTok chat. As Gabe Brim's crashed at the I am stupid corner. As Akko gets a 10-second time penalty for colliding with Ultra. Did he pick up any damage? So I don't think he did. I think Akko should get that 10-second removed. So for the second race in a row, Akko has gotten a 10-second time penalty that will probably be removed by the stewards. But Akko, if you're listening, don't serve that penalty if you can afford it. because you may get those 10 seconds removed. Anyway, Kenzie Young has now dropped the hammer here under the safety car restart here on lap 8, as several drivers out there still need a box, but Akko is the lead driver who has gotten all the mandatory pit stops out of the way. The top 4 still need a box, as well as Kevin Kell and Scones. Alice needs to do a soft stint, and I think that's it. Meanwhile, Akko going to get straight through an Ultra Titan, as Ultra may need to back down now from the McLaren. He has a little look on the inside. Akko goes wide. Ultra loses the rear. Almost catches the McLaren, but thankfully catches the car and avoids any damage. But Akko now a second back from Neil. But Akko not too worried, to be honest, because everyone else still needs the box. It would help Akko to stay in DRS reigns just to help his pace. But realistically, Akko's fight is not with them. Akko trying to protect his tyres until the end here, really. Meanwhile, Kenzie Young, Star, Neil all still need a box again. Akko just needs to protect his tyres until the end now. As Kevin Kell. Oh, and D. Sommers around. D. Sommers in the wall. And no front wing for the Ferrari of D. Sommers. So, disappointing for D. Sommers, but hopefully he can get some new tyres on. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell on the rear of Ultra Titan. Kevin Kell there out on the soft tyres. A reminder, Kenzie, Star, Neil, Ultra, Kevin and Scones all still need a box, as Kevin Kell going to get ahead of Ultra Titan on these soft tyres now. Akko is 4 seconds back. Oh, not 4 seconds, I mean 1.8 back from that top 3. But a reminder, Akko has net P1 here. Unless his 10-second was genuine. Meanwhile, LTJ Ellis to go on the softs, which probably not the correct move, because he probably should have just waited for another safety car to go onto the soft tyres, to be honest, because he will not make it on softs to the end. So, a bit of a calamity from LTJ Ellis. Meanwhile, around the outside, Scones on Ultra Titan. Scones into the wall, cross screen on the outside of Ultra Titan as they head into the hairpin of the chicane. Ultra with a lovely switchback. My lord, what a switchback! Dear lord, what a switchback from Ultra Titan in the Williams. As a little bit of wheel banging, they head into the castle section. The lanky one watching this along as Crosscree gets ahead of Ultra Titan. A reminder, Crosscree's done all of his mandatory pit stops. Meanwhile, Ultra needs to box again. Don't go on the inside there! As Crosscree's got damage on the front left end plate. Ultra on the inside of Crosscree. Crosscree goes deep though. Ultra clunks the inside curb. The lanky one all over the rear of Ultra Titan now as they head into the final corner. Scones now trying to find a way through on the lanky one. And absolute carnage here as Star now potentially going to get through into the lead of the race on Kenzie Young now. Neil may even look for a move through as we're 3 wide. 3 wide into turn 1. Neil around the outside of Star. Neil dives it into turn 1 ahead of both Mercedes. What a move from Neil in the Aston Martin as they head through turn 2 now. A reminder that this top 3 has to box again now. As Star on the rear of Neil can't find a way through. Meanwhile, Ginger going to head out Ultra Titan. Ultra seems to be struggling here in the Williams, with Scones now on the inside of Ultra. And Scones out there with damage as well, as Ultra round the outside of Scones. Scones got damage on that front right end plate. But a lot of drama here, as Kevin Kell now has caught up to Akko, but he loses the rear out of the castle section. A reminder, Akko has got all of his mandatory pit stops out of the way as Ultra Titan in the wall at the castle section. And it's a safety car. Ultra Titan out at the castle section, and we've got 2 victims out at the castle section, which will help Star, Neil and Kenzie Young. get all their pit stops out of the way along with Kevin Cal. And soon we will have every driver with their mandatory pit stops out of the way. Everyone listening, it's hards or mediums to the end from here. Although Kenzie Young and LTJ Ellis gets a drive through under the safety car. But everyone listening, Akko, if you're listening, stay out. That's the only thing you really can do. Otherwise, you'll lose more time serving that 10-second penalty in the pit lane. But Akko does stay out and may get that 10-second penalty removed. Meanwhile, Neil in. Kenzie has got to go wets or enters as he's double stacked by his teammate Star, going on to the mediums. Star on the mediums to the end now, as Kenzie Young onto the inters and may have to also pit onto the wets before going back on the dries. Ultra in the chat says also Akko hit Ultra twice under the safety car, so the penalty that Akko has isn't guaranteed to be removed. So if he did get that 10-second and it's a valid 10-second, then it may not be removed. So we'll have to see with Kenzie Young not getting his wet tyre strategies out of the way. As Kenzie has not used wets now. Oh no, he has used wets. Kenzie, if you're listening, you have used wets. Kenzie has used wets. But everyone, I think everyone now has got their mandatory pit stop out of the way. Let's double check it. Kenzie Young just needs to do mediums. And that is it. Everyone else has got their mandatory pit stop out of the way. So now it is really a straight fight for the win now. Akko in P1, the lanky one P2, followed by Crossgrey, followed by Ginger, followed by Ollie followed by Neil, followed by Star. Kevin Kell in behind Kenzie Young, who's got a box again for mediums. Meanwhile, Scones and D Summers and Ellis out there. Ellis has got a drive through that will pit him comfortably last behind the pack. So LTJ Ellis, if you're listening, you'll still score points here, but you kind of need a another safety car to get you back into this one, because serving a drive through is difficult to come back from unless there is a safety car. I think if Neil had a drive through now, it'd be tough to come back from. Ollie Bean going to come in though. Star going to come in. Huh? Kenzie, I'm going to get double stacked again, which is painful. Oh, Star's going to fix a front wing. Star's going to fix his front wing now. And Kenzie Young, I'm sure, is furious because he's been double stacked again. And he's got to fix his mediums. Well, get on a set of mediums, that is. But both Mercedes now at the back. Star and P10, Ellis is going to have that drive through, so he'll be at the back regardless. But the Mercedes have got a lot to do, and Neil is in a great position now on fresh mediums until the end here. Neil could be the favourite now with the most recent safety car there. Meanwhile, Akko may have to go to the end if he wants his penalty removed. However, Ultra Titan in the Discord chat says that the penalty may not be removed, so we'll have to see what the stewards decide, whether Akko keeps that 10-second time penalty or not. But if he serves it in the pit lane, it cannot be removed by the stewards, so he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Meanwhile, Ginge out there seems to be lagging a little bit. Going board with Neil to see, you can see that Williams juddering around. And Neil may have some difficulty trying to overtake the Williams ahead, who seems to have a bit of a poor connection here. But the safety car will be in this lap, and Akko will get us restarted. Can he have a decent performance here? On the restart, we will see. As Echo looks to bunch up the field, we've got Ginger driving alongside Crossgrey, weirdly enough. And I wonder how quickly can Neil dispatch of Ginger, who's quite difficult to predict with his connection at the moment. And when will Echo go is the question. Echo's gone here pretty early. The lanky one's going to have a toe down the main straight now. On the rear. Meanwhile, we've got Neil, who's the closest to Ginger now. As Kenzie Young seems to have lost out to Star as LTJ Ellis comes in to serve his drive-through. So Kenzie Young lost some time as Star now. On the outside of Ollie Bean as the lanky one. And Neil gets ahead of Ginger, but the lanky one looking on the inside of Echo now. Unable to get through. Ginger back on the inside of Neil, but unable to get through. Kevin Kell sees the Williams next. The lanky one all over the rear of Echo in the McLaren. As Echo seems to be bunching up the pack here. Oh, and someone clouded the wall there. It seemed like the Alpine of Kevin Kell in the background. Star on the inside of D. Somers. Lovely move there from Star here in the midfield. Oh, and a big clunk of the wall at Castle from Kevin Kell. As the lanky one seems to have made a mistake out of Castle, and Echo has dropped the hammer. Crossgrey on the inside of the lanky one. Risky move to go for. And Neil on the inside of Crossgrey. Crossgrey still has that front left end plate damage, you got to remember. As the lanky one and Crossgrey both go deep. Neil now make it through into the final corner ahead of Crossgrey now. Neil into P3 as Echo now 1.7 in the lead now. Crossgrey still holding on to that damage. But can Neil head after the lanky one? We will see. Meanwhile, Star on the rear of Kevin Kell as well here. Can Star get through on the outside of Kevin Kell? Star getting straight through ahead as the DRS now enabled. D. Somers swapping with Scones down the main straight. Meanwhile, Neil trying to find a way through on the lanky one. As thank you for the follow in the chat. Daniel Richards, welcome into the stream. But we got Neil now on the rear of the lanky one. Can Neil find a way through as he deploys the DRS? Going to get straight through comfortably on the lanky one. Can Crossgrey catch the lanky one? A reminder, Crossgrey still holding on to that damage. But the lanky one defending well here in the Sauber. Covers off the inside as Kenzie Young going to get through on Scones in the midfield now. But Crossgrey all over the rear of the lanky one. The lanky one losing time through the midfield now. And Crossgrey unable to get through. Meanwhile, Star gets ahead of through on Ginger in the midfield. Brilliant move there from Star. We can't even really keep an eye on what Star's doing. There's so much action here under this last safety car restart. But it has surely benefited Neil the most. His strategy seems to have worked the most, with him on better mediums to Echo, who leads the race now on the hard tyres. A reminder, Echo does have a 10-second time penalty for contact with Ultra under the safety car that may or may not be removed by the stewards. So we'll have to see what happens there. Meanwhile, Neil now may have an opportunity to move into the lead now on lap 15 as he's in the slipstream of Echo now. And with DRS, Neil now may get into the lead of the race ahead of Echo as Star getting ahead of Crossgrey. Star on the outside of the lanky one into turn one. What a blinding lead. Oh my lord! I was about to say what a blinding overtake, but he went far too deep into turn one. And Star's lost out 2 positions and lost himself a heap of time as well. On top of that, meanwhile, Star switches to the inside of the lanky one. It's 3 wide now, down into turn 3. A Star on the inside of the lanky one, side by side they go. And the lanky one going to keep it ahead of Star now. Oh, it's on around the outside. Star still there, trying to now out-drag the lanky one through the middle sector, and he does just that. Star does get ahead. Meanwhile, a yellow flag out for Ellis, who seems to have had a problem at turn 2. Meanwhile, Neil now trying to drop the hammer on Echo. Echo in P2. Can he stay with Neil? It seems like Neil already pulling a gap here. As Kevin Kell on the rear of the lanky one. A yellow flag around for Ellis again, who seems to have went deep at turn 3 this time, as Kenzie Young gets ahead of D. Somers now. Kenzie Young now trying to head after. And Ellis has went deep again. What is Blood doing? He's neither... Does he have rear wing damage? I don't see any rear wing damage. Maybe he does, but he's got both end plates missing, as Daniel Richards in the chat says he's the lanky one's brother. Well, welcome in, the lanky one's brother. Your brother's doing a mighty job out there at the moment. In P5 is still DRS from Star, who finished P4 last season in Tier 1. Certainly one of the quickest drivers, definitely the best qualifier in Tier 1 last season was Star. And he had a bit of a mistake on the last lap there. Went deep into turn 1, clouting the wall, and almost made heavy contact with the lanky one in Crosscree rejoining. But Crosscree going to keep ahead now. Meanwhile, Scones trying to find a way through on Ginger, who seems... Oh, and Star does get ahead of Crosscree. I was not expecting that move at all, as the lanky one now on the rear Crosscree. If he can manage it, Echo still not that far behind Neil. Neil 1.3 ahead of Echo. If Echo can hold on for the next number of laps, for 5 more laps, I'd say Neil's mediums may start to struggle and Echo's hards may start to come into their own. Meanwhile, welcome in Patricia and Downing as well. Welcome all into the stream. Hope you're doing well. For those of you that are new here, this is May Mystery Month. And for today's strategy, everyone had to use every single tyre compound, which they all have already, including the wets and the inters, as Scones gets ahead of Ginger. And Ginger trying to find a way back through, and Scones meanwhile, Kenzie Young on the rear of Kevin Kell, who's also on the rear of the lanky one as we head down into turn 1. Kenzie Young gets ahead of Kevin Kell. Can Kenzie Young also get ahead of the lanky one into turn 1? He does just that. Kenzie Young in the Mercedes down into turn 1, into P5. But into the wall goes Kenzie Young, the lanky one now looking back on the inside of turn 2. The lanky one on the inside of Kenzie. Which of them has DRS though? The lanky one has DRS on the Mercedes, so the lanky one may stay ahead of Kenzie Young now, following that mistake into turn 1 from the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Scones and Ginger battle along with Ollie Bean as well here, battling over P9. But a lot of battles out there. Neil has pulled a 2-second gap to Echo. Star has pulled a gap to Crosscree now. Can Star catch Echo is the question. Oh, as Ollie Bean seemed to make a little mistake battling with Scones now. And I believe Scones still out there with damage on. No, Scones has no damage actually. Let me have a look at the race director. But as you can see, everyone in the chat, everyone has did every tyre compound. So this is a straight fight until the end. As Kenzie on the rear now of the lanky one. Can the Mercedes get ahead of the Sauber, with Kevin Kell in the Alpine waiting in the wings as well? Kenzie Young, as Neil Gio sets the fastest lap here with a 40.8. As Kenzie Young now looking on the rear of the Sauber, and Kenzie Young going to get ahead of the Sauber. And hopefully this time, for Kenzie's sake, he can keep it clean through turn 1, and he does just that. Meanwhile, the lanky one down now to P6, but can he fight his way back against the Mercedes, or will he come under pressure from Kevin Kell, who was the Tier 2 champion last season? In Season 4 of WHF, Kevin Kell was the Tier 2 champion. Meanwhile, the lanky one, I believe, finished 5th in the championship in Tier 2, if I'm not mistaken. But the lanky one still holding on to Kenzie Young, one of the quicker drivers in Tier 1. The lanky one doing an excellent job. If I actually look at the standings, let me double check where the lanky one was. As we've got two of his biggest supporters in the chat of Daniel and Patricia, but the lanky one finished P8 in Tier 1 and P5 in Tier 2, so the lanky one always been a quick driver here in WHF, but now being dropped by Kenzie Young on the better mediums at this stage. Kevin Kell on the better hards at this stage, 4 laps fresher hards than the lanky one. Can the lanky one hold on to the position, or will the Alpine start to make inroads? Meanwhile, Star starting to make inroads on Echo as well. Echo sitting P2, but Star on those mediums may look to catch. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell now on the rear of the lanky one. Can Kevin Kell get in to P6 now as he picks the outside of the Sauber as they head side by side in turn 1, and Kevin Kell gets straight ahead of the lanky one. Comfortable DRS overtake as Kevin Kell now inside DRS range from Kenzie Young. So Kenzie may have made another mistake there, which seems to have opened the door yet again now. As the battle for P5 rages on, Ginger on the rear of Scones, along with Ollie Bean on the rear of Ginger as well. All battling here for position. Meanwhile, Neil coming up to lap Ledgeman pretty soon. As Ledgeman, unfortunately with his drive-through, not a lot he can do. Echo's out! Echo's into the wall! Echo's out! At Castle! I don't believe it! Echo's out at Castle! Echo, who was paid to, crashes at Castle! And that's the McLaren out! I don't believe it! And we've got a safety car on lap 20 here! Echo in the chat says, I am stupid, and he is the third driver to crash at the I am stupid corner. Gabe Echo out at I am stupid corner along with Ultra Titan, I believe. Or it might have been Cthulhu, I don't remember which one it was, but I think it'll be sauce to the end from everyone, and Star staying out on the mediums. I don't know how I feel about that one. Crossgrey staying out on the hards and with damage. Wrong decision. As the lanky one coming in for sauce. Yes, the lanky one. D. Summers coming in. Scone staying out. Oh no. Ollie Bain coming in for the sauce. This should provide an opportunity for the Ledgeman to get caught up to the pack again, so hopefully he can get some more positions, but the lanky one's gone for mediums and I believe a new front wing because D. Summers has exited the pit lane ahead of the lanky one on the soft tyres. But Neil out on mediums. And Kenzie Young in the chat says, Star, I got you. Neil's behind me. Hilarious. But a lot of differing tyre strategies out there. Star leads the way. Crossgrey out there on the hards and damage. I don't really know what Crossgrey's thinking. This is definitely unassailable. But Neil out there on fresh mediums for the last number of laps. I would have preferred to have fresh sauce, but they've already been used because of a reminder of the mandatory pit stops that everyone's had to do, which this will be funny to input on the app, I must say. This will be funny looking. But everyone has done their mandatory pit stop, but Scones, Kevin Kell, Kenzie Young, Crossgrey and Star all staying out under that safety car. Meanwhile, D. Summers, the lanky one, Ginger and Ollie Bean all in for fresh tyres as Ellis now out under the fresh softs. Can Ellis get caught up now and possibly try and do something here in the Haas? But Echo causing that late safety car with crashing into the castle. And this late safety car may add some mega drama to this race. Can Star hold on to the end, or will Neil be able to find a way through on the Mercedes? But what drama here on lap 22. As Echo in the chat says, sorry Neil. But I mean, Neil, he didn't need to box. I think Neil's still in a good position here. Using these fresh mediums, Neil could still win this. But it was his decision to box. He could have stayed out. He had better tyres than Star, I believe. Actually, I think he had slightly worse tyres than Star. So it may have been a straight fight between Star and Neil. But now Neil will have far superior mediums. But can he use those mediums is the question, because Kenzie says that he will help his teammate for today in Star. We'll have to see what impact this has after the race. But what drama. This has been absolute cinema. As Ellis still has a good way to get caught up now. Ellis is still a good 2 sectors back from the pack. I wonder, will he be able to get caught up in time? But intriguing to see the D Summers, the lanky one Ginger, Ollie Bean, all on fresh softs. All the lanky one on fresh mediums. In behind the Scones and Kevin Cal, along with Neil. What inroads can they make on the fresh tyres? I would like to see. And Echo in the chat says, you thought you had P2 as well because you were keeping the gap to Star. But I'm glad you had fun, Echo, despite crashing. But that's really all this competition is about, is the fun of it. Because you're just supposed to join, have fun, no practice needed. Just go there and drive and try and do your best. And try not kill anyone in the process. But we're going to have another lap under the safety car because LTJL is still a sector behind everyone. But hopefully next lap Ellis can get caught up so we can have a couple laps of racing. But Star's going to hope that LTJ Ellis takes as long as possible, because the longer we're under safety car, the more likely Star is to hold on to P1, because Neil needs time to make inroads on these fresh mediums, as the drivers who have stayed under this last safety car need the least amount of laps to defend. The drivers on the fresh tyres need the most amount of laps to try and attack, to try and get past. But we will have to see. But I really hope Ellis can get caught up here, because I would like to see him try and get a good result on those fresh softs. The race has really not gone his way, but hopefully under this restart he can get caught up and potentially get a good result on the board. But for those of you just joining us, what was required in this race for May Mystery Month Round 2 is that everyone had to use every single tyre compound, the softs, mediums, hards, inters and wets, and everyone still in the race has done that. So everyone has used their mandatory pit stops required in this race. Meanwhile, Ellis only 7 seconds back, so should hopefully be caught up, and we should have the safety car called in now. You would hope. Yep, safety car in this lap as Ellis comes and rejoins. So it's going to be a 3-lap sprint until the end. Can Star win it here? Will it be Crossgrey, who's on the old hards and with damage? Will it be Kenzie on the same strategy as Star, or will it be Neil on the fresh mediums here? Or will it even be D. Somers, the lanky one, Ginger, Ollie Beaner Ellis on fresh sauce behind Kevin Kell and Scones, also out there on Old Hards. Unlikely to be able to make them work here under the safety car restart, but well, it's going to be a 3-lap sprint until the end as the lanky one and Ginger swapping. Ginger doing some illegal overtaking. Love to see it. As Star may look to leave it as late as possible. He has done just that. As Kenzie Young's going to try and defend from Neil into turn 1. As we get ourselves restarted now. Oh, and that's Ginger! Contact with someone there. Not quite sure what happened with Ginger there. But contact there into turn 1. I wonder if there's any damage for the Williams. Don't see any damage, and it's Ellis! Ellis is around. Ellis is around. And that's his race done and dusted as Neil on the outside of Kenzie Young. Kenzie looking to still defend from the Mercedes. Oh, Kenzie almost puts Neil in the wall. Neil trying to get round the outside of Kenzie. Kenzie still trying to defend on the outside here, but can't find a way back through again on Neil, as Neil already has made a position up on this lap as Ellis. Unfortunately into the wall now. As Crossgrey looking to hold on to the rear of Star. And I wonder what kind of way does Star want to play this? Does he want to help Crossgrey with DRS, or is he just going to try and escape down the road? We'll see. As Ginger gets ahead of Ollie Bean. I think Ollie Bean may have some damage as well. I wonder did Ollie Bean come together with his teammate Ellis? We'll have to review after the race now. But Ginger clunks the wall as Neil dives it at the final corner to get past Crossgrey. What a move from Neil. We never even expected it. Never even expected it as we head now onto the penultimate lap. Neil still has enough time to catch Star here as D. Somers on the rear of Scones now. D. Somers on these soft tyres. Gonna get ahead of Scones as the lanky one on the inside of Scones as well. The lanky one gonna try and get through on D. Somers as well as he picks the outside. Oh, he goes into the rear of D. Somers, and that's damage for the lanky one as Scones back down the inside of the lanky one as the lanky one loses an end plate. Side by side goes Scones and the lanky one. Did D. Somers lose an end plate as well? He did. D. Somers and the lanky one with damage now as Neil already all over the rear of Star now, as Star probably going to look to play some DRS chicken games on the final lap here. But Neil on the much fresher mediums, what can he do here to get through on the Mercedes? Star seems to be recharging that battery here on the penultimate lap as Lanky One gets ahead of D. Somers as they head side by side into the castle section now. Can D. Somers get ahead of the Lanky One? Side by side they go, so slow as Scones has contact. Ginger runs into the rear of Scones as they all check up through the castle section. But the drivers who have boxed have really not made many or much inroads. Meanwhile, Star may even be looking to let Neil through now as Crossgrey trying to find a way through on Neil. As Star, what is he doing? There's a lot of antics going on here. A lot of antics as Kenzie's going to dive it through on Crossgrey and on the outside of Neil. Kenzie now, it's a drag race between him and Neil. Down the straight, the antics have royally come out here as we head now on to the final lap. Kenzie Young's on the inside of Neil as they head now into turn 1. Star gonna look to defend the inside on Neil. Neil dives around the outside. Crossgrey comes into contact with Kenzie Young as he tries to dive it through on the inside. Star on the inside of Neil, side by side. They go through turn 2 and Star's around with contact with Neil. Kenzie's around, contact with Star. I don't believe it. Kevin Kell's up into P2 on the final lap here. My lord, what carnage on the final lap. Absolute carnage as Ginger gets ahead of Ollie Bean. Ginger, what is he doing? What was that? What was that? Why is his car still moving? What are we watching? A sci-fi mega hype laughing at Mercedes, who had a coming together here on the final lap as Neil has got into the lead, but will Neil keep that P1? We'll have to see what the stewards say. We will have to see what the stewards say after the race. But absolute carnage here on the final lap. And can Kevin Kell, the Tier 2 champion from last season, get P2? Or will Star, who finished P4 in the championship, catch the Alpine here on the final lap? Star trying to give it everything here to head after the Alpine as we round the final corner now. Star with damage, trying to give it absolutely everything here. As on the final lap, Neil Guyot will win here in Baku. Ahead of Kevin Kell. As Crossgrey in a drag race with Star. Crossgrey will get P3 as the lanky one gets D Summers at the line. The lanky one gets P5, finishing ahead of D Summers in a drag race. What a result for Crossgrey there, getting a podium on the final lap with damage on those old hards. Ridiculous scenes from Crossgrey. And Star finishes P4 as the lanky one gets D Summers in a drag race to the line, a photo finish. The lanky one finishes P5 ahead of D Summers now. And as Patricia in the chat says, and breathe. Oh, my. Oh, my lord. Oh, my lord. Oh, we need a breath after that one. But I missed who your driver of the day was. But Neil Guyot wins here in Baku. Ahead of Kevin Kell, the Tier 2 champion. Meanwhile, Crossgrey got ahead of Star on the final lap. A drag race to the line for the podium. As the lanky one got ahead of D Summers to get P5 in a drag race to the line as well. But there you have it, Neil Guyot with the fastest lap and the win here. Meanwhile, Kevin Kell, and I'll have a quick look through the all the pit stops and everything. That may be needed, but Neil wins here in Baku ahead of Kevin Kell, ahead of Crossgrey, Star, Lanky One, D Summers, Scones, Kevin Kell, Ollie Bean, Ellis and Ginger is your finishers. Meanwhile, Echo, Ultra, Gabe and Cthulhu all out here. But we're going to start with the man, the myth, legend, the driver who won in Baku. Neil, how'd that race go for you?
Hello, hope you're having a good day. Firstly, I mean, if I didn't have the pace today, I would have lost this race definitely on multiple occasions on safety cars, 100%. I think the first safety car definitely screwed me over, 100%. At the start of a race, because I felt like I would have made a bigger gap. But anyway, moving on. So, was there 3 or 2 safety cars? I don't remember now. I think it was 2.
I think there might have been 3. I think it was 3.
Whatever, the last one anyway, didn't really help me, as you could probably imagine. With such a comfortable gap, you know, would have easily made it to the line, no problemo. Safety car comes out, and obviously I'm hoping to get back going as fast as possible, but it wasn't really the case, unfortunately. And yeah, just had to get past, had to do some fairly aggressive moves, but not very aggressive, to get past and took a flag.
Yeah, and it was a very good win, and honestly, you probably could have stayed out on that last safety car, because I was not expecting all the drivers behind you to stay out. That did.
If I'd stayed out, though, they would have come in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I can't do anything. It's like, but also staying out, even if they stayed out behind me, I knew I would come back through on new mediums anyway, so it wasn't any soft, so I had to be the medium. But no matter what, I could just get into the top 2 fight for the last lap, and I'd rather be on a obviously slick tires, but fresh tires rather than used ones.
I should have put a ping in or something, like just right for the last sprint, everyone wet. Just add drama. But regardless, that was a great victory, and you did have to fight your way through, and you did just that, and a brilliant victory here in round 2 of May Mystery Month. And we'll move on to the next driver, who finished P3 on the final lap in a drag race with Star Crossgrey. Got ahead of Star. I thought you were a madman for staying out with Damage and really, really old hards Crossgrey, but you somehow made it work. How did you do it?
Yeah, it was a really stupid way to pick up the Damage. I think it was actually under the first safety car. Just lack of concentration at the outside wall. That was that for you at the chicane in the middle sector. But yeah, at the end, I knew I didn't have the pace to kind of box and then try to overtake everyone. So as soon as I seen Neil go in and Star stayed out, kind of saved me a lot. And then a few guys in behind staying out as well, kind of helped me kind of be easier to defend. Just let Neil through and just try to fight for a podium. Really, that was merely my goal for them last 3 laps.
And what was the feeling whenever you were able to get past Star on the final lap there with a drag race? Did you have that pre-planned? Did you had all the battery saved to absolutely dump it?
Well, I had the battery saved, but I don't know what actually happened with Star at turn 2 in the last lap. But in the last straight, I just seen he was still blinking, so he mustn't have just had no battery left whatsoever. So as soon as I seen that, once we got closer to the DRS zone, then that's when I decided to dump, and it was just kind of closing in second by second. And as soon as the DRS was activated, that was really it. It did come as a shock, to be honest. Was kind of settled for a P4 going into the last sector, but I mean, I'll take a P3 definitely coming up to the line.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant performance to get a podium there with 19 lap old hards and also front wing damage from... How early did you have the front wing damage?
I think it was under the first safety car. I think I got it whenever I was on the wets.
And you didn't think at any point, let's probably fix this damage?
To be honest, it didn't feel much different. It was mainly through the last sector was where I was a bit wary of with losing the downforce, but the car felt absolutely fine through the last sector, so I thought, what's the actual point of losing 4 or 5 seconds here? Just try to stay at the top.
Well, and stay at the top you did, because an amazing P3 that, honestly, I never in a million years would I have bet on you to get a podium there. You somehow pulled it out of the bag.
Yeah, it was a shocker, to say the least, I think, even for myself.
But we'll move on to the next finisher in the order, Kenzie Young. Kenzie, you tried to help your teammate for the day, Star, win as you were defending like a lion from Neil, but Neil was able to cut his way through. Kenzie, how'd the race go for you, and how'd that final safety car restart go as well?
It all went well. My strategy was a bit scuffed because the AI decided I would start hard and also put me on like standard base fuel. So I was already a bit scuffed. So I was like, you know what, we'll go to a safety car and then just do wets and softs, assuming another one will come out. Got that call right, and then went to inters and mediums, which unfortunately I double stacked with my teammate twice because he got wing damage under safety car, which was a bit heartbreaking, which dropped me all the way back down to P11, but that was all right. Fought my way back up to P4 till the final safety car, which I knew I had to try and defend the first 2 straights as hard as I could from Neil, which was the only plan I had going into it, which worked quite well till he sent it quite nicely around the outside. I'll give him that. And then going on to the last lap, they were all playing DRS chicken on the sweeping S's. And I was like, I'm not playing this game, guys. So I just went up the inside of the first fast left of both Neil and Krosky, and just kind of stuck next to him, hoping Star would block him off. And then obviously Star tapped him on the inside, and the incident happened and dropped down to P8 because I was expecting him to ghost from being so sideways, but no.
Yeah, that was a really, really unfortunate crash on the last lap, but despite that, on the penultimate lap out of the final corner, seeing you cut your way through Crossgrey and Neil, I was going absolutely insane because we could all see the DRS games happening, but you were just like, screw this, I'm going.
I highly refuse to play DRS Chicken. It's not a game I like to play, so if anyone does it, I just stomp the power and go. And I'm like, I will go either I'll take the loss on one position, or I will make my way through people that are trying to play it. So,
but despite that, where'd you end up finishing, Kenzie?
I believe P8 in the end.
Oh,
with the spin.
yeah.
I managed to keep it ahead of the Ginger. Who was he battling? Can't remember who was battling. And then apparently
Me.
he went flipping. Oh, Ollie. And apparently he went flipping in a tornado behind me, which was quite interesting. But overall, it was decent considering I had damage from the second safety car. I think pace was good, and sadly should have been a podium, if not even the win.
Yeah, it is disappointing that you finished P8 because after that performance, I think you did at least probably should have got a top 4 because I thought everyone inside the top 4 on that penultimate lap is probably how the top 4 should have finished, but then with that last lap carnage, a bit of contact here and there, unfortunately, a couple drivers losing positions. But hopefully you can come back next week and have a better race because you've been one of the most exciting drivers out there to watch, but you just haven't got the results.
I tried to be. There's no point. No point sitting behind people. Might as well get stuck in, have a bit of fun. I know I had a good battle with the lanky one midway through the race as well. That was pretty exciting on his old hards and my new mediums. He would not give that position up. So we had a good battle. Good fun.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to your Mercedes teammate of Star. Star, you were leading under that last safety car restart. How'd that race go for you? And what was the decision to not box for fresh tires under that last safety car?
To put it simply, I didn't think Niall would have the bollocks to pit for softs, and he didn't, so I was right. It's a shame. I didn't know Kenzie was planning on scrapping that hard, so it was a bit of a miscommunication from my side, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, like this month is not anything I particularly care about, but yeah, I just thought track position would have been good enough, to be honest, and it oh so nearly was.
And then what happened in the final lap there between you and Neil as well?
2 people into turn 2 don't really go. I'll have to have a look to see how much curb I took, because if I took too much, then that's fair enough. But yeah, I won't go jump into any conclusions.
Mm-hmm. But regardless, still a very good race from you, and we'll look forward to seeing you back next week, and hopefully you can get a win because you've been there the last 2 races, although under the circumstances last week was very difficult in the Sauber, and then in this week...
Yeah, never again, please.
very, very difficult as well, although I thought for this round we'll make it a bit more even where everyone is kind of dealing with the same circumstance. Everyone had to try go through every single tyre compound, so it was a bit more even and a bit more fair for everyone.
Yeah, just need a reverse grid now, don't we?
Yeah, that'll be soon. Don't worry. But anyway, we'll move on to whoever's next in. I believe D Somers was the next finisher. D Somers, on the final lap there, you unfortunately lost out to the lanky one at the line. But how'd that race go for you in general as well?
I mean, first lap was not the best, considering I lost my M plate in Castle because I believe Ginger tagged me from behind or something along those lines. I can't even remember. But yeah, at every pit stop, because I'm so used to being in cars like Williams, Haas, Aston Martin, and having a bit longer in the pit lane, I was hitting the wrong bloody button for my pit limiter. I was hitting to turn in. So I was having maximum pit time every single time I pitted until the very last one. But yeah, I had a good battle with Ginger. I passed Scones a couple of times because it was under safety car and I was always behind him. But yeah, up until the very last straight there, I basically had 50% ERS on used softs. And yeah, Lanky just took off past me at that point. So yeah, I couldn't really do anything to defend against Lanky because I lost the back of Crosscree as well through the S's. So I had no DRS and I had to rely on ERS, and it wasn't enough. So
Yeah, unfortunately, you lost the drag race, but it was still P6 in the end, wasn't it?
yeah, P6, yeah.
So still
Up 4 places, so
yeah, still some good points on the board. So it may help you by the end of the championship. I still have no idea who the championship leader is because last week was a bit confusing where everyone was, because Codzilla was actually leading the championship, but then he wasn't even here today, so I have no idea who's leading now following that round. But anyway, I'm excited to find out who will be the main Mr. Month's champion, because it will just show whoever can deal with the most chaos will win, essentially. But we'll move on next to Scones. Scones finished at P7. Scones, how'd that race go for you?
Oof. Well, obviously it was a bit rough, in qualifying, getting disqualified due to my own error. And then in the first few laps, I think it was ultra tight and kind of squeezed me out of one of the turns. That threw me off a bit. And every time I tried to find my rhythm, I was like braking too early or too late. Didn't really get much of a battle with anybody because either they were like way quicker than me, like they got a really good exit, or yeah, I didn't really do any overtakes unless they'd crashed out. But it was entertaining seeing D. Sommers and Lanky One try to go too wide in Castle. So that was pretty interesting to see. I thought surely one of them will back out, but no, that was not the case.
Yeah, they checked up, and even Ginger ran into your rear Scones because you were just waiting for them to move, and they were basically stopped on the apex.
Yeah, it's not that. I thought, like, sure, they'll slow down. So I slammed the brakes and still went into the back of D. Sommers, and then I got somebody up the back of me, which I think, as you said, was Ginger.
Yeah, but it was none of your faults, really. It was more just two into that corner doesn't really go, so you just had to go so slowly just to even survive.
I struggled to find my rhythm all race, but still P15 to P7, it's not bad. So happy with that. My goal was just to score points, which I did, and yeah, looking forward to next week.
Yeah, and looking forward to seeing you race next week as well. We'll move on to Ollie Bean, I believe, was next in the order. Ollie, how'd that race go for you?
Oh, I got P2 Abu Dhabi flashbacks. It was really bad. I had my wing broken 4 times in that race, and one of them, it was like the first safety car. Ginge like teleported into my car, which he has lag issues, so it's understandable. The next time there was a safety car, I was behind him again, and his car just stopped on track. I ended up rear-ending it because it just stopped. And then the next safety car coming out of it, Ledger Spin had a moment in front of me, and his car went ghosted, and I drove right through it, but my wing got broke anyway. So it was really, really bad. And then, like final lap, I was behind Kenzie Young with Ginger again, and there was an incident where he went barrel rolling, and it was so much chaos. I had a lot of fun, but it was a crazy race. It was really stressful.
Well, where did you end up finishing again, Ollie?
I think it was P9 I got. Yeah, P9.
Still a decent result despite all the chaos, because we did see that instant with you and Ginger, and we were like, what has happened there? Although we did see Ginger, the entire race was lagging a lot, so it kind of looked like his car just went absolutely flying.
Yeah, it did. I got a front row seat. It was really funny.
But anyway, we'll move on to the man we mentioned, Ginger. How'd that race go for you? We did see you were dealing with some connection issues there, but how'd that race go for you regardless?
I got hit at the end into whoever it was. I think it was lag, and that's what happened to the end.
It might have been because we did see multiple times there your connection was a bit spotty, so maybe contact could have happened on one person's screen, and then maybe Ollie Bean couldn't even see where you were, and that a lot of times that happens. Whenever I started league racing myself, my connection was horrific, so I've been there before. But hopefully you can be back next week, Ginger, and we can see some more of your racing as well. And I'll move on to, unfortunately, last again, Ledgeman. You had the opportunity at the end. You had boxed for fresh sauce. You had a drive through, but you came back, caught up to the pack, and were thinking, this is going to be Ledgeman's moment. And then under the restart, you immediately spun.
And that was my only proper spin. Because it was quite a bit of the race. I was meant to start on softs, and then I started on hards. My AI put me on hards, because my original strat was to go softs, mediums, wets, inters, hards, which would have lined up perfectly with the first safety car, but that didn't end up happening. And then I accidentally got that drive through. Had to pit an extra time because I didn't realise that I started on hards. And every time I came out of that pit lane, I think I went into the turn to run off, which weren't exactly great. But yeah, again, I thought it was going to be Ledgeman's moment. That you could probably find the clip of, I was proper chuffed when that last safety car came out. I nearly fell out my racing sim. I was so happy. When I binned it instantly, turn 2. So didn't really go the way I wanted. Still got P10 though, good points.
Yeah, still has good points. I think it's 7 points the last time I checked.
Yeah, so, I'm just happy with that. Still
good points, and hopefully next race we can see you actually on the final lap competing with people and not just a bit down following a spin. But
yeah,
I'd really like to see you up there battling. But anyway, I think
I want to be.
Yeah, I think that has been all the interviews. That's everyone done now. So we'll find someone to raid on our way out. But this has been WHFRO commentating round 2 in Main Mystery Month. Neil Gio is your winner here, and what a win it was, and what absolute drama. We had so much drama in round 1 of Main Mystery Month, and more drama here in round 2, and we'll find someone to raid on our way out if we can. Let me see if anyone I know is live. No idea. Let us raid Jay Stanley, or LJ Stanley. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week for some more F2 and round 3 of Main Mystery Month before the next game comes out. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.